I'm just gonna go ahead and play this video for you guys to take a look, but really watch the actions of, I think this is the president of Poland, and I'm gonna mention more about this video again once you see this, but I want to see, do you guys see the same thing that I see on here? And I'm gonna actually play this for you to actually see it, and then I'm gonna pause it again.
Progress forward, at least for today, is that she did announce $50 million that U.S. will be giving to humanitarian aid, specifically on food delivery to refugees, things like long-lasting survival biscuits, things that people
Now just watch right here where his hands go.
Really need right now just to get to the next day. And that U.S. will be giving to humanitarian aid, specifically on food delivery to refugees, things like
wash his hands,
survival biscuits, things that people really
now
need right now.
Is it me, or did you guys just see her touch her backside? Kamala Harris has made history with being the first African, South Asian woman and also vice president of the United States. And I think it was beautiful to see that tradition broken in a positive way, right along with the social norms that our country have that is absolutely horrible, especially in the African American community, on how women are socially accepted and greeted and treated upon, and all the other things that are not the greatest representation for our community and for a lot of the young people that's watching. And I'm going to point this out to you, and you stick with me. I'm going to show you some things that's not the norm for our culture, but predominantly for the Afro-American community. So this part is supposed to be about a humanitarian crisis that's going on in Ukraine, and this is another humanitarian crisis taking place right in front of our face, but no one mentions it.
A few things that we're moving forward with, but I'm guessing we'll hear a lot more in the days ahead.
And Maggie, we've seen this this movie before, these humanitarian corridors supposedly opened up through negotiation and then shelled and bombed.
Right, it's a negotiation, and it is a humanitarian corridor, and it's one taking place right in front of another one in front of our face as we all witnesses, and it's kind of like a hush-hush. Now, besides it being mental illness in the Black community, and really with the whole America, is also a problem with the rape culture that has normalized that these behaviors are acceptable and they're normal, and it's just a way of life. So it worked out thus far for the country all the way up to now. When they first got established, it was a rape culture then, and it was acceptable, and it was the way things was done, and people accepted it, and it got them that far. Now it's getting to a time it's starting to cause some real problems, and is tearing them down from the inside out. This something being so normalized and so acceptable. So this is a clipping I got from the title, as you can see, Roundtable, and this is from a video from a while ago when it was talking about the Kavanaugh case. But I'm going to show a small clippings of it because I feel this relevant only to a small area of the video and whole that I'm making.
The United States is in the grip of a sexual abuse crisis, from Hollywood to the White House, and now the Supreme Court. High-profile men have been forced to explain historical allegations of sexual misconduct. Does America suffer from an insidious rape culture? The term rape culture was first coined by American feminists in the 1970s amid growing concern that it was becoming normalized. It fosters the idea of blame to disempower victims.
It's already very...
And Sleepy Joe Biden has pledged the biggest tax hike in history. Did anybody see 60 Minutes last night? Did anybody see 60 Minutes? Which is a total joke of a show, but you saw I released the thing early, so they got the full. But it was okay. But did you see his performance on that show? The only thing almost as bad was Kamala with the laugh. Ah, that's so funny. Ha ha ha. She kept laughing. I said, is there something wrong with her too? She will not be the first woman president. You can't let that happen.
So, what is the problem? Why it seemed to be such the norm in the Black community, and why no one said anything? because all this took place during the Ukraine humanitarian crisis. That's a priority. However, we've been dealing with this priority for the disrespect of women and the norm of sexual assault as being a part of our culture for too long. And this should be a priority as well. There's a video I have that I'm going to put in my link as well. But this is part of the reason why no one's saying nothing.
Connected in many ways. This video will discuss the impact on people and communities who are targets of racism. Around the world, Black, Indigenous, and people of color are the target of prejudice, systemic discrimination, microaggressions, and physical acts of violence due to the color of their skin. Experiences of racism not only cause distress in the moment, but can also lead to mental health issues that become more severe with each experience. Let's review some of the immediate and long-term effects of racism. During and immediately after experiencing racism, the fight or flight nervous system response may be activated. This survival response prepares people to respond to threats in the environment and can include anxiety or stress, a faster heartbeat, sweating, nausea, and racing thoughts. People can also experience sadness, anger, and have a lowered sense of self-worth and confidence. Over time, the cumulative effect of racism can cause chronic stress and a heightened stress response, poor overall mental health, and physical health issues. Experiencing racism can contribute or lead to symptoms of depression, anxiety, and PTSD. It can also cause hypertension and other cardiovascular problems, relationship difficulties, trouble with school or work performance, and an overall reduced sense of well-being. People do not have to be the direct target of interpersonal acts of racism to experience its harmful effects. Research shows that being a part of a marginalized group in and of itself is a source of stress. Witnessing oppression or violence towards individuals from one's community can cause vicarious trauma and even symptoms associated with post-traumatic stress disorder. This is often widespread after instances of racist violence make national headlines. The economic and emotional impact of dehumanization and victimization can be passed down over generations. The ripple effects of history are still impacting many people in the present day. People from marginalized communities are not only more likely to experience mental health issues due to social determinants and institutionalized racism, they are less likely to have access to treatment for their concerns. It's clear that increasing access to mental health care is vital to promote the health and wellness of everyone. So, how do we make changes? No one individual alone can be responsible for affecting change. Positive change and healing requires a conscious effort from everyone. When it comes to such a widespread and ingrained problem such as racism, making a positive change requires us all to be a part of the solution. We all greatly benefit when the lives of everyone are valued and people can live out their full potential. We must educate ourselves on the history of racism and unlearn many things that are presented as truth by the dominant culture. Take initiative and do research. There are many books, websites, training, and other resources to help you on your journey. Don't place the burden of the time and emotional labor of this education on already burdened people from marginalized communities. When you see acts of racism, call it out and call people in to have meaningful conversations about the impact of their words and actions. Let's all work together to support mental health for all and make our world a more equitable and inclusive place.
Okay, so a couple things I pointed out at this point. We see that there's a lack of people actually speaking out about this or saying anything because of the mental illness that runs into the Black community and probably some sort of class level as well as the rape culture being normalized for America. And I guess it stretches all the way to Europe as well. The fact that we're dealing with a crisis, but no one's caring about the crisis as being addressed right there in front of their face. Now let's get serious. We know Kamala can take care of this herself. We know that she's a prosecutor. We know her husband, Doug Hoff, got this. We got it. But I just wonder why no one else had really spoken out and said something about this. Is it because it's the highest authority there is? I mean, what is they scared of? And why haven't this not been addressed? I was actually alarmed that no one from out of the White House or no one haven't even spoken this or even said anything about this whole impersonalized touching and inappropriate touching that really goes on as always so normalized within the culture. But this is from the Martin Rowland show, and they bring this to point of how it starts with social media and then it stretches to the workforce and in the workplaces where women work and the whole thing. And I found this quite not only alarming but very interesting as well. So here we go.
It was showing that black women are more likely to be abused on Twitter and social media platforms. And black men was maybe, it's still higher. It's like maybe twice as much. But how do you address, again, those racial disparities? I mean, like, without violating any type of First Amendment, issues?
So to me, what's happening on Twitter reflects what we're seeing happening in the workplace, what we're seeing happen in the rest of society. This is not a coincidence. I think that black women struggle in many respects to be given our due, to be paid what we're worth. The maternal health challenges, are they're staggering. And so I think what we're seeing on Twitter is a manifestation of how black women are faring and how we are perceived in other parts of our life.
Yeah. Well, I worry about online violence becoming live violence.
Right, real life violence.
Yes, exactly. So I'm wondering if there are policies that folks on Capitol Hill should be moving forward on to better protect people. So I'm wondering if that's a part of the plan.
I think that is one of the solutions that Amnesty International.
Well, they need to hurry up and get with the program because they're slow.
Is registering as the major issue that it is. Are we hearing people talking about it and pushing forth policies? And my fear is that because black women and Latinx women, but black women to a greater degree, we are not receiving the protection that we should. I don't know how high it's rising for some elected officials.
Show you what I'm talking about.
Unbelievable.
This is the money matters.
Now, regardless of how brilliant, articulate, intelligent, well-dressed a black woman is, at the end of the day, in corporate America, this is what they think and how they see a black woman, like Grace Jones is acting right here, regardless.
They want to be shocked.
Ugly, uncivilized, or a sex symbol.
So I prepared a list of names for the fragrance.
So as far as they're concerned is, this is how every black woman in corporate America act.
No, sorry, I crossed out that one. Love puss. Pig puke. After birth.
After what?
After birth.
I'm sorry, I thought you said that.
No, it's English. B-I-R-T-H. Birth.
Just making distinction between birth or bath. Birth. Ooh.
Thank you, darling. Don't make fun of me, okay? My English is not so good. Steel vagina. You understand that one?
Yeah. Steel vagina. Marvelous.
What do you think?
Those are really creative.
Oh, thank you.
But the name of this fragrance has to be something that catches the eye. It has to incite passion. It has to be electric. It has to say glamour. And it has to say sexy. It has to say smart. It has to.
Well, we know nobody in corporate America ain't wearing no cologne to get those types of advances or inappropriate touching. In this case, this is about cologne. This is from off the movie Boomerang with Eddie Murphy. But this is my point. This is also to kind of cheer up and put some humor into this because this is depressing. So at the end of this, I put this in here to just kind of give us some humor and actually look at the perspective of some of these people that